going to be starting the meeting in about 3 or 4 minutes. As soon as Tom turns on my mic. Oh, thanks, Tom. So if everybody could come into the church and grab your last cup of coffee, that'd be great. We'll be starting shortly.
After I look at it, it's just now Tim would understand. He would understand this. I'm just watching this. There's a lot of things.
Well, good morning, everyone. We are going to start our meeting. The first part, I know it looks like every one of you have probably been to about 20 of these meetings in the past, so you know how those commercials are on TV and at the very end, all the legal stuff that they have to say? Well, I'm going to do the first legal part here really fast. No, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for coming. It's a beautiful summer day, and I'm kind of surprised we have as many as we do. But we do, and thanks for coming. It's an important part of our church, as Pastor Barry mentioned. We are a congregational church, and we need to congregate a few times a year to do some business. So, Article 8 in our Constitution and the bylaws of our congregation require us to have an annual corporate meeting, which is always held in January, early February, and we did that this year. And then we are also obligated by that Constitution to have 2 more meetings during the year. And so this is the second meeting. The third one will be in the fall. So these meetings provide opportunities for us to talk, basically, and get updates from all the ministries and committees that you voted in at the beginning of the year, and find out how they're doing and what they're doing, including leadership. All the active members in our congregation are eligible to fully participate, and what that means is essentially voting. Anybody can be here for this meeting. We don't exclude anybody from coming to the meeting, but only active members can vote. And at this meeting, we are not doing any voting, so everybody has the same equal rights. So thank you for assigning or signing all of the attendance sheets, because we do have a requirement to have a quorum, and a quorum for us, for our church, means we need to have 41 people in this meeting to transact business. And so I call upon our clerk to verify that we have at least 41 people here.
Yes, we do.
Thank you, Jim Sajak, Mr. Clerk. Isn't he a good-looking clerk?
Oh, what is the number? Jim, what's the number on that?
44.
So the number for the minutes is 44. So we have 44 people here. So, and that doesn't include those who are streaming or watching on Zoom or on their phones, because besides the people, you all who are here, our members can participate just by dialing in to a number that has been emailed out, but that number is 312-626-6799, and then the meeting ID is 88-909-7045. And the other people can even be here on Zoom if they are, and I don't know if we have any, I don't know if that really matters at this point. But, so we do have some people participating virtually, which is great. You know, I think just a little aside from the normal legal stuff, we may have people participating in church virtually every Sunday, even if we're totally and fully open. The world has, I think, changed permanently to allow more virtual things, and that's part of who we are, and it's will be part of our church's job to allow and have virtual church. And if you think about back in the days when you had really little kids and they were playing baseball and soccer and sailing and all the sports, and you were going one way, your husband was going another way. Sports these days happen on Sunday mornings, and it's kind of too bad, but it does. And so we need to be able to reach out to those people and share the good message, and you do that by being virtual. So we will be continually being virtual. We also have tellers at the meeting. The tellers are Jim Sajak in the back and Bob Frick, thank you. They have microphones, so as you have comments or questions in the audience, just raise your hand and they will come around with a microphone, and just please give us your name so we can have a proper record of who asked questions and things like that. So the other thing that we are obligated again by our Constitution, and obligated may be not the right word, that sounds like there's a law or something, but we chose as a congregation to run our meetings by Robert's rules. And that's not bad, because guess what? I'm Robert. So we have a parliamentarian who is watching what I do to make sure I'm following my own rules. And that person is Fred Steinke. Fred, are you here somewhere? Oh, there he is. And Fred was my mentor, and I don't know if I want to thank him or not for turning over the reins to me, but he did. So anyway, those are the legal things that we have to do to start. So with that, I will officially call our meeting to order at 10:19. So put those in the notes. So the first part of this meeting, I want to bring up our wonderful and talented pastor that we now have, and I think we're thrilled to have him. Pastor Barry, would you give us an opening prayer, please?
I'll take the statement because I'm your only pastor. As one of the ministers said when they were trying to tally if they had a quorum or not, he said, just make it simple. Jesus said, 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, that's enough. Let us pray. Lord, we gather this morning at this congregational meeting as one body in the name of your Son, Jesus, who we acknowledge as the head of this church. Lord God, you send your Holy Spirit to us to teach us by enlightening our hearts and our minds. May we, your faithful people, be open to your Spirit. Grant that we, by your Spirit, may have right judgment in all things and rejoice in your holy counsel. Grant us your gracious presence so that what we do this morning will strengthen your church. We know we are called to offer ourselves to work to grow your church and maintain its unity. We labor for your kingdom because we are thankful for what you, our God, have personally done for us, each of us, and all of us, and what you continue to do for us. We pray in the name of your Son, Jesus, under the inspiration of your Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Barry. For the first order of business, we want to take a look and show you how we're doing as a church financially. Jim Natalizio normally does this. He is unavailable, so we do have two treasurers, I think, as everybody knows. So with that, I will ask Bill Palm to step up and give you a review. Does everybody have a copy? If you don't, they are available.
Good morning. It's good to see the bottom of everybody's faces today out there. Usually we're masked up, so it's good to have a change in that. As Bob said, I'm one of the co-treasurers, and Jim and I typically split up our duties. He handles the budget kind of stuff, and I handle the transactional side of it. So he gave me some notes, but I'm not as deeply invested in the budget as he is, so I'll do my best here. So one of the important things that he noted is that last year we had a bit of a windfall with the PPP money from the government. And this year we had a windfall also with golf and car show donation. So those two windfalls are really helping to balance our budget last year and this year. And in order to keep a balanced budget next year, we're going to have increase in pledges. So unless we get another windfall, but we can't really count on that. So and let's see what else. We also do have some savings in our budget from a lower salary for our pastor while we're searching for our next pastor. And one other note is I just got an updated number this morning on the HVAC donations. We're currently at $15,125. Excuse me. And that's about 75% of where we need to get to. So we're still trying to raise about $5,000 more for HVAC. So those are the highlights. Do we have any questions? Yes, Mike. Mike Hoff.
I don't know, can everybody hear me? Can everybody?
We can now?
Yeah, I have a question. It says on the statement sheet, 41,750 other income, 44,690. What is it? 44,000. What other income is that?
The 40. Where is that exactly?
Ordinary income and expenses on income statement budget versus actual. Under fundraising income projects.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's the PPP loan from that I mentioned. So
Well,
that's one of our windfalls.
Isn't that budgeted up in the $50,000 one? That's what the PPD was, I thought.
I'm sorry,
Okay, never mind. Okay, we'll skip that one.
Okay.
Fundraising income projects, other, $11,000. What is that?
That's the HVAC fundraiser.
Okay.
Nope. Oh, I'm sorry.
And then a real wild question. I can't believe that we've only spent $9 on postage.
Yeah, that's the contributions for the HVAC, so
Okay,
through April, and I just gave you the updated numbers, so that's through
Okay.
today, that 15,125. So, but through April, we had the
no
11,735.
problem, it's just if they would have said HVAC, it would have been self-explanatory then.
Right, yeah, that's how we categorize it, but yeah.
And then the big one, Bill, I can't believe that we only spent $9 on postage. Is that a typo?
And postage,
Postage, yeah, expenses.
I
Postage and delivery, $9.
I would imagine it's, I mean, I don't know, maybe some other things get spent that don't get categorized correctly, I'm not sure, but.
One other question I have.
Yeah.
Is Hearts and Hands a church organization or is that a separate entity?
So it's a separate entity, and on the income expense, they actually tithe, I believe 10% of their income to the church.
But it's
So-
a separate entity? Then why do they have a checking account why is the checking account in the balance?
Probably just to simplify administration, and it's a separate account, but it's under the umbrella of the church. The church has several accounts at Bank 59, and they have a separate account to manage money separately.
It's just confusing. I just can't understand that if it's a separate entity, how we can hold their checking account. Who's watching the watchers is what it amounts to.
Well, it is its own account.
Okay,
It's just that we have several accounts, like we have one for the memorial fund, so that helps us to keep their funds separate, and they manage that account. So within Bank 59, we have a lot of administrative policies in place. So Cindy owns that account.
oh, okay.
So
Okay,
there's separate ownership, like different people, have access control rights in those accounts.
Okay,
And the ability to,
okay,
do all the administrative stuff. So it is its own account.
okay, thank you.
Yep, you bet. Yes, Lois. There's a microphone on your right.
You get to talk, Lois. Thank you. Lois Jackson. The $15,000 that is the special gift is wonderful, but I think we really need to emphasize, if we didn't get that, we would not meet our budget. So I think we need to make sure that we emphasize that we either have to increase our pledges or we're going to have some serious problems, because I don't know who that very generous person is, but how much longer can they continue to do that?
Right,
So,
right. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll probably emphasize that during our stewardship campaign in the fall. Yes, Maggie.
Hi, Maggie Hollis. You were talking about windfalls, and I wonder if we could focus a little bit on the rummage sale that we haven't had yet, because we can't move down there anymore, and it's getting harder and harder to organize. And so I wonder if we couldn't count on that somehow in the fall and start gathering people to help.
Yes, Bob has a comment on that?
Sorry, Maggie, we are going to be talking about that later in the meeting. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yes.
Mickey Kellner. Thank you. The PPP loan, yes, I've got it. It's a loan that we pay back?
No,
Okay,
the
so
way that
it's
was
not
structured.
really a loan.
So the premise when they first introduced it was that they were loaning money, and if a business that borrowed PPP money kept their payroll, kept their staff, and paid them through the pandemic,
Right.
which was unknown how long it would last at that time, the loan would be forgiven. So, and we met the obligations for that loan
Okay, so
forgiveness.
it's labeled a loan, but we're not on the hook for that money.
Correct. We're not on the hook for paying it back. Correct. That's a great question, Mickey. Thank you. Yes, Rochelle.
This is Rochelle Bailey. Can you hear me? Am I on?
You're not on. Tom's getting you fired up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I just want to have clarification about the car show.
Mhm.
So the income that we receive from the car show, like from sponsors and raffle, that should really go into the Rich Bailing Memorial Fund. And I know last year we had an additional $3,000 that would go to Amy for youth mission. So I just want to make that clarification that the car show really doesn't hit our budget. And I don't think that occurred last year. So is there a way that we can deposit that money into the Rich Bailing account, please?
I will check on that.
Okay.
There's actually a fund that's called car show. So we specifically segregate that money out into the car show fund. So I can get a report on it, and I can follow up with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right, this concludes the financial report. Bob. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. That was a little tough for someone who doesn't normally do that. So thank you very much. The next, in the same scheme of things, the next group that we need to hear from is the review committee. And the review committee is made up of primarily this year someone who's not here, Jim Meyer. So and it wasn't because he didn't like or didn't want to hear the report. Essentially, our review committee has been meeting over the last several months, reviewing our financial records from last year. That committee follows a template that was designed a few years back from a firm in Oconomowoc, Winter, Cloman, Motor and Rep. They're a CPA firm, an audit firm that does work with a lot of churches. And we consulted with them to put together a review procedure for our church and put it in writing. So we did the same thing the same way every year, which we hadn't done since the beginning of our church. So we do the same thing every year. And one of the ways that works is there are specific accounts that are basically, and I don't want to use the word audit because it's not audit, but they're looked at every year, the same accounts. And there's some of our more accounts that are used a lot. And then they can randomly select other accounts that the treasurers don't know about and the accounting people don't know about. It's kind of for safety. We're just protecting ourselves. And so that's what they do then, is they look at all of those accounts and basically make sure they balance and they, what we ended up last year with and things are in balance. And essentially, then they put a report out. And the undersigned, I'm going to read the letter that was written to leadership from that group just a few days ago. The undersigned members of the review committee appointed by the leadership team of the Congregational Church reviewed the financial statements of the First Congregational Church as of December 31st, 2020, and the Treasurer's report for the fiscal year then ended. Our review included such tests as the accounting records and other procedures, and we looked further for certain circumstances. Based on our review, we are not aware of any material modifications that should be made to the reports. So basically, they gave our financial statements the okay. So that's their report. Any questions or on that topic? So Dan Wiley is also part of that group, by the way. So thank you, Dan and Jim, wherever you are. Okay, the next part of our meeting is a short message from our bridge pastor, who we are so lucky to have.
When somebody says a short message, that tells me something. I retired in January of this year from my prior church. I was there for just about 12 years. And 5 weeks later, I was contacted by this church to help out just for 4 weeks. So much for retirement. I enjoy coming here every Sunday. I enjoy the meet and chats. You've been so welcoming. This has been a fantastic and is a fantastic church. You're in the process of calling a settled pastor, and I will help out as long as I can. People have hinted at wanting to know my age. I'm 78 years old. I retired for a reason. I'm greatly helped out in ministry by Amy. She assists me with the sacrament of baptism and also at the Lord's table for the sacrament of Holy Communion. And I'm blessed because she officiates at weddings and funerals here. However, I do wish that she could become a licensed minister. That would greatly help this church a lot. Jennifer in the office is another person that helps me a great deal. She selects the images, prepares the layouts for weekly reflection, drafts the order of service for Sundays for my review, chooses the slides based on the themes of my sermons. So both of these people, Amy and Jennifer, do a whole lot more. When I'm in the office and notice what they do, I mean, this is just how they help me. I'm also working closely with Bob Johnson. I grew up in Chicago. I don't like turning my back on people. He's been most helpful and supportive. And one of the things I like about Bob is the fact that he really wants to market this church. He really wants to reach out for those who have not been here because of the pandemic, who are at home, and just keep marketing the church to the greater community. I've been attending leadership meetings, and I can tell you that every single person on the lay leadership works for the best of this church. Your search committee is busy. I know they're almost finished with a survey, which will be out pretty soon, of what qualities you would like in your new settled minister. There was a cartoon that was passed around, and it has a number of people sitting around a large conference table, and they're the search committee. And they're trying to figure out what qualities we should have for a new pastor. And then someone holds up a huge sign, and it just simply says, "Pastor stuff." So my prayers are with the church now and with your search committee that you will find a minister to serve you for decades as a shepherd, a real shepherd, to do all of that pastor stuff. And I want to add, I really enjoy people coming up and talk to me afterward, not because they say nice things, but just when people start asking questions and talking, because that just makes me feel even more welcome than I am now. I like the people that have sent me meet and chats and the people that have sent emails to the office, which they forward to me. So I look forward to chatting with each of you over the course of the next number of weeks and months. During the July and August, we're going to move a communion table, not this one down here, so we can have even a more informal communion, because communion is around the table, and that is what being in church is all about.
So as the sun set, our pastor walks away. I'm just kidding. As you can tell, I like to have fun with just about everything I do. I hope that's okay.
Yes.
Next on the agenda is our Director of Youth and Youth Ministries to give her report. So, Amy?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Bob. As we continue to emerge from the pandemic, it is bringing a lot of excitement and energy back. We are starting to gain more normalcy again, which is always nice to have, and we're able to offer more in-person events. This summer is quickly approaching. It is here and in front of us, and there are plenty of opportunities and activities and events for all to participate in. This year, we kicked the summer off on, for me, May 22nd, with the confirmation of 5 amazing young adults. It was a wonderful weekend listening to their faith statements, proclaiming their faith in front of their families, their friends, their church family, but ultimately God. I want to send a huge thank you to Darla Corby for assisting with a wonderful confirmation dinner for them and their families. As we move into June, our summer begins to get way more busier. We'll be celebrating our graduates on the 13th with cake after, so I invite all of you to come and recognize this huge accomplishment in all of their lives. We will also be hosting our annual car show, which the funds from there go into a Barrett account, and the interest received each year goes to a rich-filled experience for our youth who are attending the summer mission trip. I want to send out a huge thank you to Rochelle, Mick, Andy and Easton Meckel, Rachel Zastro, Becca Krieger, and Rick Pinch. It has been an honor working with all of you and making this event come forward each year. So thank you so much. And also thank you to all those who have signed up to donate items or just your time. It is greatly appreciated, and it's a wonderful and fun event on our church grounds. We are still in need of some volunteers and some supplies, so please click on the weekly announcements link or see Rochelle and I to see how you can assist. On June 27th, we will close out with the first session of Vacation Bible School. This year we'll be hosting an in-person session called Compassion Camp. We will be focusing on compassion the fourth Sunday of each month from 4 to 6. Each session we have a different Bible story where compassion is shown. The children and youth will learn how they can take these stories and share compassion in today's world. We are in need of several volunteers, so please see a member of education or myself to allow this program to happen for our families in our community and in our church. And also, please don't forget to spread the word and invite your family, your friends, your neighbors to attend this, as it is a wonderful event. And then after that, we'll follow into the outdoor worship service with dinner and more fun. It has been, what is going on here? It has been a great pleasure working with the Spirituality and Welcoming Ministry, as well as Bob, Rochelle, and Luke for planning the outdoor worship services. They have put a lot of time and thought into this, and it has been great watching this all come together as well. They are very excited, and we are all very excited to offer these opportunities for our church and hope you will be able to make at least one. Thank you to all the volunteers that will allow these services to happen and to be a success. As we move into July, we will be kicking off a theater-intensive program to present Godspell Junior. I'm working with several local artists, professionals, as well as some of our graduating seniors to offer this. It's an amazing event and opportunity, and I'm beyond excited for this. This is open to all students, everyone in this community to attend who are entering in 5th grade through 12th grade. It is a 10-day program which they will be learning everything they need in those 10 times and putting their own spin on this play in a very short time period. I'm excited and can't wait to see what they come with and produce to offer to everyone in our community. So mark your calendars and join us for one or more of the showings on July 16th and 17th at 7 p.m. or July 18th at 2 p.m. Tickets are $7 or $5 with a donation to the food pantry. From Godspell, I quickly close out July with the opportunity to lead with 5 other chaperones and 28 youth on a mission trip to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. During our time there, we will be doing some light construction work and with 4 community members scattered throughout the mountains. This is always my favorite week of the summer, being able to be with the youth and to see how God can use our time and our talents and our skills to be God's hands, God's feet, and to let the Holy Spirit guide us. Mark your calendars for Mission Sunday, which will be held on August 29th. When we return from Gatlinburg, I will be taking a 3-week sabbatical. I will be completely unavailable.
That's not because we don't love you, it's you deserve it.
Thank you, Peg. I currently have Reverend Leanne from Dousman UCC, who will be filling in to cover pastoral care and funerals and anything else that may come ahead during that time. So please continue to call the church office if you have any of those needs, and she will make sure that she gets you in contact with Leanne. I will return to my normal duties on August 22nd. While planning and assisting all of these wonderful events and opportunities throughout summer, I've also been filling in for some pastoral duties as Pastor Barry is only part-time, and he makes that clear at times, which is wonderful. I have been taking care of the pastoral care needs, weddings, funerals, as he had said, and assisting him with baptisms. Also, any other pastoral duties within the office and attending full-time meetings that a full-time pastor would attend. I've presided over a burial in May, and I will be also doing one in July. Pastor Barry and I have conducted 2 baptisms in May, which was wonderful and a great opportunity. You can truly feel the Holy Spirit moving among the individuals involved. He gets the whole family involved, and it's just an amazing opportunity. So thank you, Barry, for this, and it's just great. You're an amazing mentor, and I'm so lucky and blessed to have you in this role right now. Thanks for all you do. Bob, I also want to thank you for assisting in a lot of the pastoral care roles here as a leader of our church. He didn't expect to have to take all these extra roles on as a moderator. Being a moderator alone is just difficult, and having to take a lot of more additional responsibilities is even more work. So Bob, thank you so much for stepping in and taking on these responsibilities. Thank you. Your church staff has been working very hard, and they all are doing a great job. It has been another interesting year for us, and we have come together as a team to keep things going for all of you. Jennifer Arnold, our church administrative assistant, is doing a great job with her day-to-day skills and also creating the Sunday worship slides that you see every Sunday morning. Carl Kay filled in and did the slides while he trained Jennifer as well. This summer, he will also be doing a hymn sing the 4th Sunday of every month. Luke has also taken the lead with the evening outdoor worship services with the praise team and has helped with all the publications for this. Sue Weber has continued to do an amazing job keeping this church spick and span, and she will begin her summer schedule of cleaning different areas within the church. Alicia Drahanovsky is our bookkeeper, and she's, again, doing a wonderful job learning, continuing to learn, and work with Bill and, oh my gosh, Jim. She's doing a great job, and we are very proud of what she's done. Also, Tom Stone, you're doing an amazing job being our sound and tech and media and every guru throughout this whole year and the Sunday service. So Tom, thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication. We are working hard in a time of transition to keep things normal. Many of us have picked up additional job responsibilities, and we are truly blessed as a congregation to have each and every one of them in the role that they are in. As a staff, we are very thankful for each and every one of you. We could not do our jobs without your support, without the volunteers we get. So thank you to each and every one of you. And that is my report.
Thank you, Amy. That was a good report, and I am thrilled you're going to take some well-deserved time off. Turn your phone off. Okay, well, now we come to the point, we have a question, I guess?
Is that, Amy, with the mission trip that's coming up, has anything been done? Because 2 years ago we had the question about driving. Has anything been done about that?
Mission Ministry has a thing, and they're sending it to leadership, and leadership will take it.
And then if things continue as they are now, what about social distancing?
For the mission trip, there will be no social distancing because it's not needed. And masks are optional.
Okay, question answered.
Yes.
Okay, again, this is the part, the next part here is when we get committee reports and ministry reports. And I know we're getting a little long in the tooth, so they will be short reports. And the first one is from me, from leadership. So my report is done. No, I'm kidding. If you recall, leadership did have some goals and things we wanted to accomplish this year, if you can think back that far to January 1st, we were in a whole different place. It's almost hard to imagine thinking back to January 1st, but our primary goal as a leadership team was to support and continue implementing our new vision that we created the prior year. And I'm going to look across the aisles here and pick somebody to recite what our vision is. Does anybody want to volunteer? Sure, okay, we have a volunteer. What is our mission, or vision rather?
You know what? To engage and inspire all generations to connect with God through love and service.
Hallelujah. Good for you. That is true. That is really true, and that is what leadership is all about for everything we do.
Couldn't hear what she said.
She said, engage and inspire all generations to connect with God through love and service.
Thank you.
So that is our barometer on whether or not we're doing something right or wrong. Are we fulfilling that vision? It is really neat to have a goal or a vision. It's kind of like when you're going to take a vacation. Where are you going? We know where we're going. And that's important as a church and an organization. We also have values that we've established, and I think you probably know all those too. So that's our primary thing leadership is working on. We have also had, part of our goals was to improve the communications between our ministries, committees, and leadership. And with that, we've implemented a new procedure. In the past, we've had multiple meetings a year they're called all ministry meetings. That kind of went by the wayside about 4 or 5 years ago. And we are bringing them back quarterly. So we've had one already. We'll have another one here in the next probably 30 days. And then we're also inviting one ministry to each leadership meeting just to work on that specific ministry and make sure we can help as leadership and know where they're going and what they're working on. So I'm hoping that will improve some things. We also have a goal, and this is where you all can help a lot. We have a goal to have our members of the church, meaning you, we want you to be inspired and take responsibility for connecting with our visitors and our community, telling them our story and telling them your story. Why are you at that church? Why do you come to this church? Why do you love this church? We need you to do that. That's how we'll thrive. And my goal as moderator over the next couple of years as I'm moderator is to have this church be recognized in our community as a thriving church that really matters and makes a difference in our community. So, and that's everybody's work. So part of that is telling your story, and we want to record some of that because as much as maybe many of you aren't on social media, when people move into town, what's the first thing young families do when they want to find a church? Do they drive around and look at the churches? Or do they go on Facebook or go on YouTube or go on? And we want to have a great presence in those environments so those people that are moving into Oconomowoc know who we are. So we've got some work to do in that area. So those were the goals we had at the beginning of the year. How are we doing? Oh, we also had a goal to find a good interim pastor. And I think we've accomplished that, right? So I kind of broke down where we are into two categories. I call it good progress, but work to do. So the good progress is just look around. We're back in church. At the beginning of January, where were we? There wasn't anybody here. There was nobody here. We're also singing. We're also here drinking coffee and having donuts. I mean, we've come a long way. And thank you for all the people that have helped get us there. But we were very careful and wanted to be safe. And that made a few people mad, because as soon as we came back, there were a lot of you that wanted to sing. But we thought that wasn't the right time. And we still have rows blocked off. And we're not back to normal, totally normal, but we're on our way. We also have you nominated some wonderful people to be on our search committee. You did. You nominated over 25 people. And we worked with that group of 25 and came up with what I call an extraordinarily strong and dedicated group of your peers that are working their tails off. Do you know what they do every Sunday evening? Every Sunday evening, they're here, working on trying to help us find a new pastor. Every single Sunday. Pretty cool, huh? The other thing Amy mentioned, and I want to re-mention, is your church employees have been working extremely well together. There was some confusion and some concerns and some problems with that 7-8 months ago. But I can tell you, we've got a cohesive group of people working hard now. Not that they weren't working hard, but things weren't as cohesive as they are. And they're putting up with a rookie moderator, which, thank you. So what's left to do? We're not done. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got to get back to really normal and do it at the right pace, and we will. And I'm going to continue to ask for your patience in this, because there are some of you I know that we should have all the pews open. We should, we'll get there. I promise. We're going to do it in a safe way and as best as we can. As Amy mentioned, we have plans on having 3 outdoor services. We've got a group of people that are made up of spirituality and welcoming and leadership, and Amy and staff that are and our music team that are working on having some really cool fun events this summer, like a church picnic. How about that? During church service. Not during, but around church service. And if you think about the opportunity, those outdoor services are right after the 3 vacation Bible schools Sundays. And there will be several of those kids in that class that aren't members of our church. And wouldn't it be cool, or it will be cool, think about as their parents are driving into our church to pick up their kids, they're going to see, holy cow, look at all the people here, and there's music, and there's all this stuff going on. Maybe we should think about finding more about this church. That's the kind of fun we're going to have this summer. And we might even have food trucks in our parking lot. Can you imagine? Is that blasphemy or what? No, we're going to have some fun this summer and have some really nice services outdoors. We do have a wonderful church, and there's work to do. And one of the things I want us to get really good at is telling our story. We are a great church. We do a lot of good things. We just aren't very good at telling our story. And we need to get better at that. So that's leadership's update. Any questions for me on leadership? I appreciate your patience. I really do. I'm new at this. But, And so I'm working hard at trying to do my best. Okay, next, there are a couple of committees that report directly to leadership. One is the nominating committee, and the chairperson of that is not here. That's Glenn Welnick. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. He's not here much in the summer. He's got, I think, 2 or 3 cottages up north that he spends his time at in the summer. And I'm going to be asking you again. We do have some openings on a few of the committees and ministries. One, we do need 2 more people on nominating. So if anybody want to raise their hand so we can write your name down? Okay. We have another opportunity on stewardship. We have 1 opening on stewardship. And we have one opening on spirituality. So that's not, in the scheme of things, we've got about 75 people on all these committees and groups. So, having 4 openings isn't necessarily a really terrible thing, but we'd like to fill them. So if you want to, or want to think about that, or you know anybody, please mention that to them. Okay, the other group that directly reports to leadership is pastoral relations, and that group is really kind of, I keep thinking in the closet. Don't take that the wrong way. Without a pastor for several months, and with a bridge pastor, there's not the need for that committee to do that much. And we actually met with Lorraine, our conference minister, and with that group in the first quarter, because we were having some conflicts in that group on how it should work. And so we sat down with Lorraine and that committee, and we had a great meeting. And the group is going to be working on kind of a new procedures, a new way of running that committee. So that will be some things we'll be voting on at the September meeting. So there's really no report from that committee right now. The next committee is the Personnel Committee, and that's headed up by Pat. So Pat, do you have any update for us?
Sure, I'll get just a little one.
This is Pat Evans.
Just kind of a reminder of what we do and how we do it. According to the bylaws, the leadership team appoints the Personnel Committee of 4 active members of the congregation to serve no more than 2 consecutive 3-year terms. The active members currently serving on the Personnel Committee are Lois Jackson, Kelly Bradley Young, and myself, and I serve as the chairperson. We are short 1 person on the Personnel Committee, so please consider volunteering to join this committee to complete the requirements for the 4 active members. The responsibilities are to maintain the current job descriptions for the pastor and all other staff positions as a basis for hiring and evaluation, to oversee the church's compliance with state and federal employment regulations, to maintain the employee handbook, which defines the relationship of the congregation with the church staff, to conduct annual performance evaluation of the pastor, and to provide salary recommendations to the Budget Committee as a result of the review of the annual evaluation report of the staff. The committee corresponds as necessary by email due to the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions and has not met in person since fall 2020. The committee will begin to hold regular meetings at the end of the summer to begin the process of reviewing job descriptions and the handbook for revisions, to make necessary salary recommendations for the staff, and to review and revise the responsibilities detailed in the bylaws for staff support, as has been suggested by the Wisconsin Conference. As Bob alluded to, pastoral relations and staff support are grouped under the Pastoral Relations Group, and the Personnel Committee is responsible for administration. During this past year, we've had a hole between those two groups that we needed to have some human resources administration done. I, as the chairperson, and had volunteered to work with Pastor Dave, and then with Fred and with Bob to fill that hole. And so we're going to start looking at how do we change our job descriptions of those two groups so that in the future, all of those personnel type things will be handled appropriately. As the church is currently seeking a settled pastor, the responsibility for creating a job description for the new pastor is the responsibility of the called pastor search committee. The personnel committee has worked with the leadership team in creating some ideas for the search committee to use in creating that job description. And so that will be incorporated into the job descriptions as the new settled pastor comes on board. The church is very fortunate to have an outstanding staff. I personally want to recognize each of these people for their outstanding performance during this historically challenging past year. Amy Drua, thank you for what you do every day. Jennifer Arnold, she's our administrative assistant. She has blossomed and grown during this last year. She came on board in March when Pastor Dave was gone with his stroke and no one to guide her, and Amy helped with training, and I'm very proud of the fact that she just took hold and tried to train herself, learning our computer system and dealing with all of the church administration that needs to be taken care of, being there to answer your telephones when you call, trying her best to answer questions. So I appreciate what she's done. Our custodian, Sue Weber, oh my goodness, the things we have expected of that woman to take care of and to clean and to handle. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but she actually broke her hand this last year. I happened to be here at the church on the day that it happened. I took her to the clinic. She saw the specialist, had her hand put in a cast, and went back to work the next day. So we have a lot of staff who go well beyond what you know on an everyday basis. Alicia, she's our bookkeeper. She is part-time, and she also came out in March when we had a lot of confusion going on about what's happening and how to do it. She worked well with trying to learn from our co-treasurers about how to handle our books. And to be very honest, we had some of our personnel accounts for our benefits were not properly handled, and so those had to be sorted out and figured out, so she was very helpful in getting that straightened out. I want to make special note of Carl Kay. He's our organist, our bell choir director, and our choir director. He has been amazing at working through a lot of situations and trying to decide about how to handle our music for our traditional service. And then Luke Edgewood with the praise band, coordinating all of that and coordinating with Carl. They've done just a really amazing job. And Betty Black, my husband, calls her the flute lady. He looked forward to hearing her music when we were watching virtually, and she's our choir accompanist and substitute organist. So we really have an amazing staff, and I know that other people have already mentioned that, but I'd like for you to join me in thanking them for their efforts.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. The last committee that is kind of formed by leadership is the Pastoral Search Committee, and we would like to have Deb Bersinger come up at this point and give us an update on how that's going.
Good morning. As has already been mentioned, the Pastoral Search Committee is a great group of people. They're really a good representation, cross-representation of the church, and of different ages, different perspectives, and we've really appreciated the group, all of us, so thank you for nominating those members. And as Bob mentioned, we do meet every Sunday evening, and as you may know, Jill Riemann and I are the chairs, and we expected to take Memorial Day weekend off, but all of the committee members insisted that we meet. So they are very dedicated and very interested in moving the process forward. So our first major task is putting together a very comprehensive local church profile. We've been gathering data and information that we need to complete that profile from ministries, from the church office, from the Wisconsin Conference, demographic information for our community. And the next big piece that we're working on is the survey to the congregation. And while all of the information that's gathered is important and needed for completion of the profile, the survey is really essential. It is your message to us about what you want in a pastor. So we anticipate that survey will go out next week to the congregation. If you receive church communications via email, that's how you will receive the survey. If you get it through U.S. mail, we'll send it to you that way. We're also going to have hard copies available in the fellowship hall for you to complete. So please complete it. We're hoping that everyone will complete it within 10 days so that we can, because it's going to be a big job of compiling the information. Encourage your friends that are members to complete it. Encourage your other household members to complete it as quickly as possible. And then we'll just keep working on your behalf to put together the local church profile as well as the senior pastor job description that Pat mentioned. We'll use the information from the survey to come up with that job description based on what you think we need to move us into the future. Any questions? Okay. Thank you. If you do have any questions, just a reminder, or any comments, there's a box in Fellowship Hall for you to put comments, and you can call any one of the committee members anytime. We're very open to having your input and feedback. So thank you.
Thank you, Deb. And I'll just encourage you as well. This is your time to tell your church what you want our next pastor to look like and be like. Looks don't matter, but obviously, right? Okay, next up is the admin ministry, and I am calling Bob Frick.
Thank you, Bob. I'm representing the administrative committee led by John Kyle. We've got a pretty strong building and grounds focus. We've been meeting monthly. Craig Bobrowitz, in addition to John Kyle, Dan Moldenauer, Gary Phillips, Jim Meyer is our leadership liaison. We're really focused on building and grounds issues. There's been a number of things during the past year we've worked on. We're also focused on putting together a plan. So one of our SMART goals is really to put together a capital plan, identify priorities, what needs to be done to keep the church building and grounds up to speed, and then work with stewardship to make sure we have those things in the budget and the stewardship message. So that's really what we've been doing, very active group, and appreciate all the help, so thank you.
I got a question. Just a guy?
Yep.
Is it on? Oh. Yeah, with the questions with the grounds, I have two concerns. Number one, we have a extension cord running to a light pole out here. I don't think that would come up to code. And I don't know why it's there. It's a hazard. The wire goes through the trees, that wire comes down, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Is this the back parking lot?
Back parking lot.
Yeah, we've had issues with those lights and are working up. A great comment, and I'll make sure I mention in the meeting in our committee that we addressed it.
Okay, then, Bob, and then the last time I cut out front, we have 2 signs in the outdoor worship area. They're weed infested. I don't know why we don't have somebody taking care of that. The sign out front, there's weeds, there's dead plants. You want somebody to see it, and they see, well, they don't take care of the property. What's inside the building, you know? The sign out here that says to the outdoor worship area, that blew over, somebody fixed it, it's fine, but there's still weeds around it.
All right, thanks. I'll take that back to the committee, so thank you.
And that's it.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know about those other issues. Taking care of a property this big and a building this big is not an easy task to keep up with everything, that's for sure.
Thank you for all the work you're doing, cutting the grass, and there's a lot of time spent by a lot of members of the congregation, including the group that worked on the siding, so thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next up, kind of under the admin ministry, is we have several fundraising projects. First being the car show. And Rochelle, you have a few comments about the car show coming up?
Yes, like Amy has said, our car show is on Saturday, June 19th. So we are still accepting car owners to register as well as volunteers and donations. The event is from 10 until 2. It's out on our front lawn. It's a beautiful event. This is the 4th annual. For those who may not know, this event was created on behalf of Easton Mickle and my late husband, Rich Baling, on a mission trip to Canada. Amy inspired all the youth to brainstorm ways to fundraise for youth mission. And Easton said, hey, Rich, we should do a classic car show. And they both have a love for classic cars. And so the rest is history, and this is our 4th annual. So I encourage you to, if you don't choose to volunteer, to at least come out to the event and to check out the raffles and to have some food. It's a really fun event.
Thanks, Rochelle. Any questions for her? All right, next up, we also have an incredibly great and popular golf outing. Fred, do you have any updates on what's going on there?
Sure, just a couple updates, if you will. The golf outing date will be August 9th. It's traditionally, I guess that would be the second Monday in August. It's going to be at the Oconomowoc Golf Club again this year. Patty Ewald and I are co-chairing it on behalf of the church. For the longest time, the profits from that went to our budget. Last year we were blessed in that a family in church kind of underwrote. They gave what we would have raised from the golf outing to the budget, which freed us up to do some outreach, which last year we chose Family Promise, and we raised $25,000. This year the goal is a little bit more audacious, and someone else, when they said, hey, how much should we raise? And I thought, well, 25 would be really great. The consensus was, well, let's shoot for 50. So that, you know, we'll see. That would be truly amazing. One of the good things, though, is as a church, we're trying to become more visible.
Right.
We need to do a better job of selling ourselves. Rebecca Seymour, he has taken on the charge of marketing it, so Facebook and newspapers and that types of things. So not only promoting the necessity of what Family Promise does, but also our church's major involvement, and that can only be good for our church. So we're limited to 100 golfers. We anticipate that'll sell out fairly quickly. You can sign up now. And then this year we're able to have extra 50 people. Because one of the things we miss as a church family is getting together and communing and spending time and that type of thing. So there's going to be an opportunity for an extra 50 people to come to dinner. It's not going to be formal sit down. It'll be sort of a buffet kind of a thing, a little more informal and mingle, and we can make it work. So August 9th, sign up. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. The other fundraiser that we have typically had in our church and was mentioned earlier was the rummage sale. And as all of you know, we didn't have a rummage sale last year with COVID, but yet we collected all sorts of stuff. And we have a very, very full rummage room, or whatever that room was called. Jill Riemann has traditionally been the person that chairs that and has done a remarkable job for many, many years. We've tried to do a couple of things on social media just in the last month or so with a pop-up rummage. There was some volunteer help to put some items from that cluttered room into one of the classrooms and try to sell them on Facebook, and it hasn't gone, that well. I mean, but we were just kind of trying things. There's some thought that with where we are with social distancing and COVID and the improvements, that we might be able to have a rummage sale this fall. Traditionally, the rummage sale is, I think, about right now. But we need some help. We need a co-chair. And so if we want to have a rummage sale as a church this year, the first thing we need is a co-chair to work with Jill. So do I hear any volunteers? Well, talk to your friends and neighbors. We need a co-chair. Okay, next up, we're going to keep moving here, is the education ministry. Melissa, are you here, and can you come up and say a few words? Thank you.
Good morning. Katie is out, so I told her that I would talk a little bit about education today. You may not know me. My name is Melissa Reinick. You may know my husband, Jason. I've been a member of the church for a little while now, and this is my first year on the education committee. So we were lucky enough to have a couple weeks with in-person Sunday school. We have two little boys, 5 and 6, and we were very excited to be able to be in person. We did have a very good turnout with kids. We were all in one group, and being able to be all together and feed off of each other and just bring the word and learn together. Amy was wonderful in being able to do Zoom during the pandemic when we were virtual. So it was great that we were able to still get the kids involved during virtual, but it was great to see everybody together and get the kids together during the last couple weeks of Sunday school. Thank you to all the volunteers that did help us during the last couple weeks of in-person. They were a great help. We really did come together and get the kids to really do some activities. We were able to go outside and run around and really just have a good time. We're really excited for VBS this summer to keep on going with the word and really keep on going to get them involved and everything like that. So if you guys do have any interest in helping us out with that, that would be great. I'm very excited to see how that goes, as it'll be our first year doing it, to see how it evolves, and we're excited. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the update. Next up is Mission Ministry, and Cindy Meckel will be coming up to tell us all about that.
Good morning. Cindy's always way more enthusiastic than I am, so. But Cindy asked me to cover this. So the two missions that we support very heavily are the Habitat for Humanity and Family Promise. So I'll be touching on both of those. And we have scheduled 2 dates to help Habitat, July 10th and August 28th. On July 10th, we will be helping with a build in West Bend. And on August 28th, we will help with German Fest in West Bend. Proceeds from German Fest will build a Habitat home. Contact Cindy, my wife Cindy, for more details. And for Family Promise, although churches are not yet hosting guests, Family Promise is still actively supporting people to stay in their homes. They have also secured 3 apartments that currently house families and single women who are experiencing homelessness. Our week to help with Family Promise is June 26th through July 3rd. Watch the weekly announcements and emails to see how you can help with that. Family Promise is also our June singing collection, as you heard earlier. Thanks to all who have continued to be so generous with the singing collection. And I understand through Deb, I know Deb and Cindy worked together on the Family Promise, but I think there were a few other numbers or interesting things to share about Family Promise and the impact that that makes. Thanks, Deb.
I'll be very brief. Since Family Promise is the singing collection this month and we have the golf outing benefiting it, I wanted you to know that during 2020, when they suspended the church rotational model because of the pandemic, Family Promise did not just go away. They continued to raise funds and assist families throughout the year. It became especially important as families were having problems as they lost their employment with keeping their apartments. And so Family Promise implemented a homelessness prevention initiative. So instead of reacting to people who were homeless by providing them shelter, they were now working on the end of preventing people from losing their homes. So they provided rent assistance, utility assistance, transportation assistance. And just to give you an idea, just in 2021 now, I don't have the statistics for 2020, but just this year alone, Family Promise has assisted 37 families, which includes 55 adults and 69 children, with over $35,000 in rent assistance, utility assistance, and transportation assistance. So they are helping in a time of great need to prevent families from losing their homes. And as the pandemic eases, we anticipate that they will return to the rotational model, and we hope to be hosting families or sheltering families here again in the church, but we will approach that with leadership team and make sure that we do that when it's safe to do so, and we understand how it's going to work. So just some updates. Thank you.
Thanks for that update. We appreciate it. Next up is Tim with Spirituality.
Good morning, everyone. A lot of what I would normally say has already been said by others, but just to go over a few things. How far we've come in the last 6 months to have everyone being able to be here and see your faces and everything, and it's just fantastic. As Bob mentioned, as things continue to change, we'll continue to remove the restrictions that we have in place, the few that we still have remaining, but it's happy to see everyone back in church. Summer services were mentioned. We are really trying to work hard to make sure that those are family-oriented events and that there's other things that are going on. So please make sure that you try to attend those, because I think they're going to be a lot of fun. We are currently working on what services are going to look like with Rally Day and moving into the fall, and hopefully we will be back to an even more sense of normalcy at that time. So please be patient with us. We will be working on trying to get volunteers participating again in the services, from ushering, things of that nature, helping with the visuals and so on and so forth. Also, as mentioned, we do have a vacancy on our committee. If anyone is, our ministry, if anyone is interested, please feel free to talk to me if you're interested in what we do and how you could potentially help. Otherwise, you can speak with nominating committee. Any questions? Thank you.
That was brief, thank you. We do need to move along. I know we're getting a little long in the tooth, but the one, just add on to that from leadership is, I want everyone to know that our plan is to go back to a full 2-service schedule in the fall. I actually was, believe it or not, approached by a couple of different people over the last few weeks saying, hey, I heard leadership is gonna abolish the traditional service. I don't know where that kind of stuff comes from, but I want you to know we have no plans to do that. 2 days later, I was approached by somebody that said, hey, I hear leadership is going to abolish the connection service. Again, we're not going to abolish that either. We're not here abolishing things. We want to go back to where we were and even better. So if you've heard those rumors, please squelch them. We are going to have 2 services after Rally Day, okay? Next up is Chris Moll with spirituality. With stewardship.
Good morning, everybody. All right, Tim, you threw the gauntlet down. I'm going to be shorter than you are. All right. The clock starts down. 2 things that have been already mentioned that are facts that we're acutely aware of. One, the only reason we made budget this year was because of the government loan. So pledges were way down this year. Yes, the committee is acutely aware of that. We're also, it's been said, and we're acutely aware of, we're all going to have to step up come the fall because we're not going to get that government loan. So the committee's working diligently on trying to develop new ways to reach people, trying to get people to be enthused about giving, looking for different methods of communication. So those are the things that we're all involved in. And you'll be seeing some of the product of the committee's work as we move forward to the fall. I was also asked to talk about Legacy Committee. The Legacy Committee, thank you, Bonnie, for getting that started again, is going to be meeting. We're going to re-energize that and hopefully have some more product for the committee, or for the congregation to look at moving forward. How am I doing? Done?
Yes.
Questions? Good, I'm done.
You know, you'd think the Packers were playing today the way you guys are getting through this. That's great. Next up is the Welcoming Committee. So, Jean.
I'm actually going to be the shortest, and I don't mean in height. Welcoming Committee serves the church by acknowledging and welcoming members, visitors, family, and friends. We accomplish these responsibilities through the fellowship hour, decorating for the holidays, utilizing the time and talent sheets, reaching out to members wherever support is needed, the book club, the Bible studies, and so much more. In addition, there's also Caring Connection, a group that works behind the scenes, providing transportation, helping out with funeral dinners, visiting the shut-ins, and also way more than I can even start to tell you. I'd like to thank the 7 other members of Welcoming and also the 18 women who serve on the Caring Connection for giving hours and hours of their precious time every week. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, very much. We do have a couple of auxiliary organizations, Hearts and Hands in the Memorial Garden Association, Cindy's got just a few words to talk about with Hearts and Hands. So.
I have a tough act to follow. Cindy is always like up waving her arms when she gives a preschool report. She's at camping actually with a college roommate of hers and a few other friends. So anyway, she asked me to do this. Her preschool report. So a school year like no other ended May 27th. We ended the year with 33 children from 30 families. 4 children were from church families and the rest from the public. We were also blessed to have been able to offer 2 of our children a 50% scholarship. With the new policies and procedures, along with new technology and a new app, our program was able to stay open the entire year, which is really awesome. The staff willingly made adjustments, learned new things, and kept moving forward. Parents were so supportive as they were grateful to have a safe and fun place for their kids to go. Lots of time was spent outdoors. We are so thankful for 22 acres of beautiful property, along with a pavilion, playground, and outdoor worship area. Last June, we added a new class to our program, and this year our parents requested it again. The class filled within 24 hours of opening registration. You will see 15 happy children attending our summer fun class Tuesdays and Thursdays in June. Lots of time will be spent outdoors where the fun never stops. We are taking registrations for August Friday Fun class that runs Fridays in August from 9 to 11 and is open to all children aged 25 months to 4 years old. And speaking of registrations, we still have some openings in our fall classes. We have classes for children ages 25 months to 4 years old. How can you help? Help us spread the word. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Sharing and commenting on our posts helps more people to see and discover our programs. If you have a business or home in a well-trafficked area, we are looking for people willing to put our sign on their property. We will deliver the sign and be very thankful for all who are willing to help us spread the word. And it was a comment that Mike Hoff made earlier. I just want to make sure for the record, I don't know all the ins and outs of the preschool, but I know they operate fairly autonomously within the church. But they have a preschool board of directors and there is oversight. I just want to make sure that there's clear understanding that there's a regular board that looks over checks and balances of the organization. So I just want to say that. Any questions for me? Yes.
I am on that committee.
Yes,
The
and
one committee that I have said that when I can no longer come to it, can I still come?
I'm on that committee, and I have told Cindy that as soon as I can no longer be on the committee, can I still come?
You have been a very vital part of that.
I want to say that staff has been absolutely amazing. I cannot tell you how hard they have worked to keep themselves in person in this church with those children. They really need to be commended.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Well, they're very well supported too by our congregation and by the staff and people like Peggy that are on the board. So it's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so that was another comment I meant to make is that the board has very hardworking volunteers from our church that have helped with that as well and kept it running very well. So thank you.
Okay. Last but not least, we need to hear from Fred again on the Memorial Garden Association.
Okay, here we go. I will make this super brief. George called me last night and said he couldn't be here. He said, say something if you want to. The Memorial Garden looks real good. It's been mowed. It's professionally kept up by weeding and fertilizing, so the grass is really green there. There's been 2 additional plots that have been sold recently. So financially, I think it's in great shape. We need to have a little bit of a work committee going this summer just to clean up. It was mentioned by Mike Hoff again around where the sign is. The sign is back up. There's an additional sign that blew off last fall that's waiting to be put up. That'll get up in the next week or so. There will be one service, and I don't know the date for Chuck Muris that's coming up. It might be in July. So that's the report. Thank you. Well, Marty.
Yeah, can you get plots for just two, which is what you mentioned originally? Didn't you have to have a four?
Marty, there's a microphone.
Plot. Okay, I had asked if you could purchase plots for two as opposed to at one time. I thought it was you needed to have a 4-person plot.
Off again. There we go. Originally there was, you could have a plot that would hold 8, or you could have a plot that would hold up to 4. So for myself, it was just my wife and I, and at the time I bought a plot that would hold 4. It'll probably only be just the 2 of us. But I'm going to say the year before, when Lois Jackson was asking about that, there was a change where you could buy a half plot, let's call it. So for a lesser amount for 2 people. Yep.
Okay, because Dan and I are thinking we probably won't have children now, so it's just the 2 of us.
Never too late to adopt. So.
I think Dan would make a great adopted dad. Yes, more questions?
Yes. No, just one, Lois Jackson. Just one comment. We actually have 3 names on ours, though. So you can have more names if you want, because we had our son's name added to ours. So he is actually buried at LaBelle Cemetery, but we have his name on ours right here.
Don and I just bought 2 plots for Don and myself, and then my sister and her husband, who are from Appleton, have agreed to also be, my sister's no longer with us, but they also will be, the ashes will be interred in there.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm wondering about the Helping Hand Fund, how that's doing, and if there's still the big need for it.
Amy, can you answer that, please?
There is still a need for the Helping Hands funds. We still have people coming in on a weekly basis asking for assistance. So please, if you are able to donate money to that fund, it's greatly appreciated. There is money in there so we can assist.
Is there enough in there for now?
For right now there is, but I mean the need, as it comes, it gets depleted. So it needs to just be constantly fed back in. So thank you.
Yeah, that is one of the things I was unaware of, the amount of activity in that area for our church, and that's one of the roles I've assumed responsibility for, and it's humbling when you have to work with those people.
If you look at the balance sheet, there's a balance in the Helping Hand Fund of $4,300. That was the end of April, but it's fairly healthy.
Yeah. Good, thanks, Fred. Okay, well that concludes all of the ministry updates and things, but it seems like Lois Jackson has one more update for us. She certainly can't have a question for me.
Thank you. It's just a clarification. The church had sent out a notice about our former pastor, Charlie Lauder, celebrating his 100th birthday on the 22nd of this month. But the address that was on there is incorrect. So Jennifer has just asked if anyone wants the new address to call her. It's actually a box number in Fairfield Glade. It is not Crossville. That was listed on there.
Oh, thanks, Lois, for giving us an update. For those who don't know, Charlie was a past minister here for about 25 years. I think in the 70s and 80s, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, well, that concludes the formal part of the meeting. Are there any questions or concerns left that anybody has? Great. Well, then I have one more thing to do. And we've done this a lot already, but I want to give a real shout out for your church team. That would be Jennifer, Amy, Alicia, Luke, Carl, Tom Stone, and Sue Weber. We are really blessed. So with that, I'll take a motion for adjournment. Yes, sir. Second? Thank you. We have a motion, first and second. Everybody say aye or nay? Ayes? I think we're done. Thank you so much for all your patience.